Here with head coach Sean Kiracofe after tonight's match against UCA. Coach, looking at the match as a whole, it really boiled down to, and maybe you correct me if I'm wrong here, but the errors on our end. 2 errors in that third set. We ended up taking that set 21 in the other 3 sets. And and like I said, correct me if I'm wrong, but do you feel like that was the determining factor tonight?
You're right on. You're right on. We were able to do or set up situations that we wanted in both serve receive and transition. And we created single blocks, we created splits for our attackers, and we hit out. It really just came down to the errors, but we, for the most part, were able to create the situations that we wanted just coming from the scout, and then to be able to execute that and create it in the match. And so that is a positive. But I mean, we talked about, earlier in the week, the defense is there, digging, blocking. Aces are already, I'll say aggressive serves that have resulted in aces is there. And all those showed up at different parts of the match, and honestly, for the majority of the match, where it doesn't quite look that on the scoreboard, but the offense isn't there, and that's pretty obvious to everyone in the gym. But to circle back, we created what we wanted, and now it's just a matter of execution when we take those swings, and that's a positive. That's from where we were at early in the season against Sam Houston till tonight. Is improvement, and if we can just keep it consistent, keep our errors consistent, as well as the positive things that we're doing, those things are fixable.
Right. You mentioned, I think it was on Monday when we talked about those aggressive swings and those maybe not as aggressive swings, especially against Lamar, where you talked about swinging to not make an error and giving them an easy ball. Do you feel like tonight, even though we had the amount of errors that we did, they were not good errors, but aggressive errors?
Yeah, absolutely. And we did that for a while, and those errors were an inch or two outside the court. And I'll take those because those can turn into points pretty quick. And then we get frustrated after a little while and give them easy balls. And if you're going to give a team with that much offensive talent across the net, running a 6-2, so you always have 3 attackers, and they're running a little bit of offense out of the back row, so that gives you a fourth. And you're giving those teams free balls and easy balls, they're going to score. You're going to lose. But I will go back to it doesn't show up on the scoreboard and the box score so much, but those errors were better. The progress was there, and now we start turning those just misses into points, and things start to change. And that was set 3, honestly. Those swings were in, and we hit 300, and we sided out at 70%, and you're going to win all the time when you do that.
Looking at a couple players that just kind of come to mind from the match that did perform well, especially later in the match, Audrey, which we haven't talked about her maybe as much recently because she has still been has been showing a lot in the past few matches, but I remember a couple of big kills in the middle, and how we've talked about the middle's progression and how well they're doing, but to see her to continue that tonight against teams that are now scouting against her and scouting against Reagan, to still play well was, I know, big.
Yeah, it really is. So, we really like Audrey. Just as a person and as a player. She's funny, but she can be quiet. So she can go about her business, and you kind of, not necessarily forget about her, but you lose track of what she's doing. And so we brought her in this week, and we're just like, hey, you're doing awesome. I'm like, because every day after practice, we end, they go back in the locker room or the training room, and we're like, you know what, Audrey had another good day. And we haven't told her that, so we made a point to do that. But to your point, she did really well, and a huge compliment to both her and Reagan. And we'd been improving in the middle so much that we assumed that they were going to focus their block and their defense to the middle, and they absolutely did. And as far as blocking goes, UCA is a really good blocking team. They were right behind us in the stats for conference matches, and they put a ton of focus on our middles. And Audrey came through and found ways to score, whether on big swings or just being smart and tools or moving the ball around. So, I mean, she had a great match, and to say it again, and it's a huge compliment that you have a defense focusing on you specifically and then that position.
Yep. All right, Coach, thanks so much for your time, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Thanks.